So a lot of you want to build products. What is the issue that you guys typically end up facing? Is it not knowing technology? Do you struggle with the idea of not knowing technology or not knowing coding? Or is it where to start? If you can switch on your cameras and talk, that'll be the fastest and the most enjoyable as well.
Hey, hi Talvinder, Sonakshi this side.
Yes, Sonakshi.
Yeah, thanks. Actually, I was just typing, so I think it's better to speak
So
here.
much easier.
So yeah, correctly. So I think different people have different intent. For me, to understand product management, my intent is to have a better connect with the product team. Because from I have done coding, but not as a coder. I know basic coding, so I just want to understand the technical side a little bit better. So whenever I'm coordinating with multiple teams, especially product team or developers, I should have a better understanding what they are saying and what they are putting to me rather than just being a people manager. So yeah, that's my intent here.
Understood. That is wonderful. Others? Subrat Devi, where to start and the process involved in it. Okay. Sonakshi, is that the problem with you as well? I understand that not knowing technology very well in depth is one hindrance, but is that your issue as well, that where to start or what's the right process to get the product out?
Yeah, correct. Maybe putting a structure around getting started. Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else wants to quickly jump in and give me their folks? Usually my sessions are very, very interactive. So absolutely feel free. I understand a lot of you are new for interacting with me. I completely get that. But just feel free. This is a no judgment zone. So even if you're an absolute beginner or you are a senior, just feel free to share your thoughts because that will help me calibrate the session very well. Yeah. Anyways, I will begin, but I hope that during the session you will be able to share what is on your mind. Feel free to put it in the chat or feel free to just directly communicate. So usually in the last 6 years, helping students out or helping learners out with their product journeys, one of the core issues that we have been dabbling with is building a product. Now, when we started in 2018, that was one of the first things that we started focusing on. That is, hey, build your product, because that's one of the best ways to learn. Like if you think of a programmer or developer or a coder, how do they learn? They don't learn by just going through the sessions. They don't just go through videos and they learn coding. They actually code, and that is how they learn. Right? Similarly, if you think of a designer or a QA or somebody else, they will always do the work that they're getting into, which is designing or let's say QA or anything else. Correct? Now, in our situation, as a product person who wants to build a product, who wants to lead the entire development of the product, if you do not launch something of your own, you will not be able to get the same amount of confidence, right? But of course, in 2018, the situation was very different. Product management was new, or product building was fairly new in India. And usually was relegated to the CEO or the project manager largely, or the product owner largely, because product manager as a role was not very popular. I believe most of you want to be product builders. For those who do not know, product builders in modern era in the workspace, they are called product managers. Okay, they are the ones usually responsible for the success and the failure of the product. Of course, if the product fails, then they are responsible. If product succeeds, everybody is responsible. That's just how things are. Okay. So over the last 6 years, so 2018 actually, even if you do not build a product, it was perfectly okay because there were very few people who understood how products are built and they could get jobs. But today in 2024, that's not the situation. 2024, product management has become very mainstream and everybody talks about it, everybody knows about it. Um, so one of the best ways to stand out today is to actually build out products. And today, of course, given we have generative AI, we have ChatGPT, we have Claude, we have LLMs, we have some amazing technology which was not available earlier. So now all of you, each one of you can actually build a product. Okay. And to facilitate that and enable that, the struggle was not knowing where to start, where to end, what's the step-by-step process. And what we have ended up doing is putting together a very, very concise 7-day journey that you can take to build any product that you want. Okay, not any, but a good number of products can be built out. When I say products, these can be MVPs, that is a small product that you can launch and you can test out in the market, or it can be a somewhat serious product that you can actually launch for production and you can start charging. Okay. The goal here is to learn while building the product, number one. The secondary goal is to build a product that you can showcase in your portfolio, in your resume, uh, to the prospective companies. That's the secondary goal. The tertiary goal, the third goal, is that if you use this framework multiple times, you will get so good at it that you might end up, building something worth production and worth charging. Okay. So without further ado, I will jump right in and I'll take you through the journey, through the 7-day step that I have created. Mind you, this has been tested. This has been, give me a second. This has been used by a bunch of my students and they have already launched few products. I'll just show you one of them. Give me a second, please. And I'll share my screen. I guess you can see the screen. Yes. Can somebody give me a thumbs up? Is my screen visible?
Sir,
Yes.
we are not able to see this.
Yes, yes.
Okay, okay. So this is a product built by one of my students, and he employed the 7-day process that I'm just going to show you, and build out this product. Actually, he built this faster than 7 days because he himself was a user and he himself was the person who was troubled. So he was able to do this little faster, maybe 3-4 days itself. It's a co-pilot. It's a AI developer assistant, and it works in Visual Studio. Visual Studio is a IDE. It's used for writing code, and usually it is usually writing code in Visual Studio is a little painful compared to Visual Studio Code. Visual Studio Code is for handles a slightly different kind of developers. This is a small little video showcasing how the product actually works. I will not show the entire video. Please feel free to look up this tool called Radha AI Developer Assistant.
AI assistant. It is an AI.
So I'll just jump in. Where he shows how this works. You can see this.
Instruction. options is running AI system can. So we got builders and then the default selection here program that builders and got some running and starting thinking perspective or says it should have the instead of rightly detects the error situation. That it gives the correct code lines, but only the line, not the entire code. Just the line which is of importance. Second use case we'll talk about is like text. In the source code file,
So you can see this entire thing was built over 3-4 days itself, and it handles diagnosing the build errors, writing unit tests, and then actually writing the code. It handles all the three things for a very specific use case, which is of Visual Studio and using it for C++ and similar programming languages. You can also do the same thing, and that's the entire purpose of today's session. So jumping right in, give me a second. I will switch to the process, and I will suggest that please all of you take a notepad or keep a notepad with you, because I will be running through this. We have about 40 minutes and we have about 7 days of content to cover. So given the time limit, I will not be able to jump into the pure coding pieces as much, and you will see that it is not that much required as well. But rather what is usually the struggle is where to even start, and that's where this session is going to be very helpful for you. Okay, enough of preface. Let's get started. Okay, give me a thumbs up. You can see my screen. Okay, great. So Pragmatic Sprint, it's a 1-week accelerated MVP. Earlier, we used to take about a month to build an MVP. Using this approach, you should be able to nail it down in about 1 week, which in my opinion is the right time or right amount of time that you should be spending on an MVP. Because MVP building or POC is proof of concept. Proof of concept building should not take more than a week, right? Because you're going to use and throw it. And only once you are comfortable is when you can actually etch it out and you can make a better version. So let's jump in. It takes, of course, we have used all of our 6 years of experience in compressing all of this learning, all of this building experience into just 7 days. Okay. The philosophy here is that we should be focusing on accelerated learning. How do we accelerate the learning of what to build, when to build, what to remove, what not to build, and so on. It's equally important to be very specific about what not to build. Yeah. Yeah. There are 3 key pillars here. One is accelerated. Sorry, please keep yourself muted. Thank you. So number 1 is accelerated. Time is of essence. So it's important that that all of us, when we are building, we are very particular about not spending a lot of time on wasteful exercises like preparing documents, preparing this, preparing that. Just do enough. Okay. So accelerated, number 1. Number 2, adaptable. This entire process is adaptable to different types of products you might end up building. If you're working on a hardware product, you can adapt this. If you're working on a software product which requires a lot of user research, you can adapt this approach. And number 3 is everything should be achievable. When we say 1 week, yes, it sounds ambitious, but as you will see, it is not that ambitious. It is actually very realistic and very practical. Okay. I'll jump right ahead. Broadly, for the first timers, a lot of you who have never built a product, my recommendation is to go through each step of the sprint and do not skip any of them. Okay. Because that will help you build a solid knowledge and foundation for knowledge and skills. And it will also help you, broaden the understanding. If you do not know about something, you can always research and always find out. Yeah. It is fairly flexible. So once you have gotten some command of how this actually happens, Then it'll become easier for you to remove certain pieces or skip few pieces. But if you're a first timer, do not skip anything. Just go with the flow. Okay. Broadly, this is the process. On day 1 and 2, we will focus on ideation, market validation, and product conceptualization. We will use a tool and method like value proposition canvas to solidify the product's core value and the target audience, which is who are we building for, what are we building for, why are we building it, and so on. First 2 days should be dedicated for that. Day 3 and 4 should now shift towards planning, technical feasibility, beginning the prototype, leveraging platforms which are suited for the technical skills that you have, as well as if you already know how to code, please use that, or you can use any of the no-code tools available to build out. Okay. Day 5 should be about refining the prototype based on feedback, emphasizing any kind of user experience problems or usability issues. Day 6 should be about development phases, task management, MVP build, and user testing. And finally, day 7 should be for a soft launch. Okay, this is roughly the overview. Yeah. Sorry, give me a second. Yeah. One very critical thing before I jump into the specifics. Please set defined goals. Okay. One of the biggest challenges that I've seen in students is usually it's not a capability issue. It's the time boxing issue and the commitment issue that, oh, I will build a fantastic product. The day I build a product, that will be the best product in the entire world. But that day will never come. You will never actually end up investing time, committing that, okay, morning, 2 hours I'm going to spend on this. Yeah, that's an issue that I've usually seen. Okay, so set defined goals, allocate a fixed time frame for your daily development efforts. Okay, this is critical if you really want to excel or to start shipping your products. Number 1. Second is ship your product very fast. Do not wait for it to be absolutely perfect. Perfection never happens. Okay, whether it's Google, whether it's Microsoft, whether pick up any product, any company, right? There is no like absolute perfection. Like, imagine Google was a beta product for, sorry, Gmail was a beta product for I don't know how many years, right? So beta product means it was not yet completely, as per them, it was not yet fully ready. Yeah. So perfection never comes. So the sooner you launch it, the better it is. In fact, it's a very popular statement that if you're not embarrassed by your first version, you shipped too late. Yeah. So which is why my strong recommendation is today is Saturday. By next Saturday, you should have one product out. And I would love to see out of all the people who are in the session, how many of you actually end up launching a product. I would love to see that. I'll personally love to review the product. Anyway, let's jump into the specifics. Throughout this entire session, the rest half an hour, 40 minutes, we will be going through a specific product, which is a hydration tracking app, which is essentially tracking if I'm drinking enough water or not. Given all the heat that is there, I think you all know that it is important to keep drinking enough water, but we typically tend to forget how much we have finished and how much is pending. Right? So it's a very simple, practical example of a hydration tracking app. I have my water bottle right here, and let's see how it goes. We will be using a platform called Bubble for no-code development, right? And we'll be using a tool called Usability Hub for rapid feedback. Okay, this gives me a feedback whether what we're building is meaningful for not just me, but for others. Okay. Let's get into the specifics. So day 1, each day of this pragmatic sprint is broken down into 2 pieces, morning and afternoon. You can choose to do it in evening as well. So day 1 is about ideation and market validation, right? Usually most of us have a lot of annoyances. We come across a lot of issues, we come across a lot of problems, and we usually just script that, hey, this doesn't work, or hey, I wish there was a better way of doing ABC, right? But we usually do not finish that thought that how do we actually solve that problem. So this is something called problem solving mindset. Okay, building a problem solving mindset. In fact, for those who are new to the market, my strong recommendation is check the job descriptions of most of the companies out there. You will discover that problem solving has become one of the key pieces, key expectations in almost all job descriptions, no matter which job role you're going after. Yeah. So cultivating a problem solving mindset is a key essence, not just for this, but also for your job hunting. But anyway, focusing on this, the activity number 1 is start maintaining a daily annoyances diary. This can be something on your phone. This can be something on your diary. Okay. You can start identifying everyday annoyances, unmet needs, or inefficiencies that you are facing, your friends are facing, your team is facing. Okay, that you have absorbed. You do not have to immediately start solving it, but any kind of annoyances that you have observed, write down these observations in daily annoyance diary. You can use a physical diary, you can use a spreadsheet, you can use a note-taking app, whatever works for you, absolutely okay. And once you have this, then use a 5 whys technique. 5 whys technique is, I'll show you with an example. It allows you to go deeper into each idea and you are able to understand the root cause, why this problem exists. Okay, let's jump into a few examples that I've put together. So annoyance description is, I lose track of water intake and I'm unsure if I'm drinking enough water throughout the day. That's the annoyance. Second is, morning routine is rushed, leaving no time for breakfast. That's an issue, right? Something that you do not want to have, but you face it every day. Third is frequently misplacing keys at home. Big issue, correct? What are the possible causes? No convenient way to track or measure water intake during busy days. That is true. Oversleeping and slow to get ready in the morning. That is a possible cause. And frequently misplacing keys because there is no designated spot for keys and different places every time. I place the keys at a wrong place or a different place every single time. So I forget. Now this possible cause gives me an idea, but it is not deep enough for me to really solve it, right? So this is where 5 whys analysis comes in. 5 whys because you ask why question 5 times. Okay. So why do you lose track of water intake? Because you forget to note down each glass of water. Okay. Why do you do so? Because no immediate and easy tracking method at hand. Okay. Why is that so? Because most available apps require several steps to log water intake. There are apps available which allow you to log water intake and do a bunch of things, but they take multiple steps. So I drink a glass of water and then 3-4 steps to just log the glass of water. Doesn't seem very user friendly, correct? So why? Because apps aren't integrated seamlessly into daily routines. And why is that? Because lack of a simple automatic tracking solution. So by asking these 5 questions, going from a very broad situation of losing track of water intake, we have zoomed into that, okay, there is not good, the apps that are available are good, but they are too complicated for simple tasks like these. So we need a simple automatic tracking solution, right? What is the emotional impact of this? Frustrated and worried about not meeting health goals. True, I would like to drink enough water, especially in the current heat. So now from that annoyance, such a broad situation, now you have a refined problem statement which says there's need for an effortless method. Notice the word effortless. Effortless method to track and ensure adequate daily water intake, integrated seamlessly into daily activities. This is a far better problem statement than just saying, hey, I lose track of water intake. So going from the leftmost column to the rightmost column, you can use possible causes and 5 whys analysis to arrive at that. Let's go through the 2 other examples because this is one of the most important. This table that you're seeing is one of the most important tables that you will take away from today. Okay, how do you go from absolutely vague, broad problems to much more refined problem statement that you can actually solve? Yeah. Morning routine is rushed, leaving no time for breakfast. I'm sure a lot of you who are students, I think I saw some students in the chat window, would be skipping breakfast, right? Let's go through this. So why do you oversleep? Because you snooze alarm multiple times. Why? Because alarm sound is not effective in waking me up. Okay. Why? Because the sound is annoying, not motivating. True. I mean, yeah, it's very, very painful. Why? Because I haven't found an alarm that uses motivational or personalized sounds. Why? Because limited alarm clock features that cater to personal motivation. Okay. So what is the emotional impact of this? Annoyed at the start of the day, leading to skipping breakfast. So a need for a more personalized and motivating alarm clock feature that effectively wakes users up and encourages a timely start to the day. Now, I don't know what motivates you, but I can totally imagine if I could record and put my mom's voice that उठ जा उठ जा सवेरा हो गया. I think I'll wake up uh, at the right time more often than not. Or whatever works for you. Okay, if it's your girlfriend, if he's your boyfriend, uh, it's perfectly okay. Whosoever's voice you want to hear in the morning. Um, Third is frequently misplacing keys at home. I'll jump right. I'll go through the why and the refined problem statement. So why? Because you don't have a consistent habit of placing them in one spot. Why? Because there's a lack of convenient and designated place near the entrance. Why? Because existing key holders don't capture attention or fit aesthetically with the entryway. Why? Because key holders available are either too bland or too bulky. Why? Because there's a gap in the market for functional yet aesthetically pleasing key storage solutions. And from here, you can now refine the problem statement and write a very clear problem statement that, okay, there's a need for an aesthetically pleasing, highly visible, and strategically placed key storage solution to reduce the frequency of misplaced keys. Yeah. I hope you are able to see how you can go from a very vague random problem to a much more refined problem statement that you can actually solve. If you go solving this, you may not end up getting a good solution, but if you decide to solve this, you may be able to solve a very good problem. One, plus the solution will be applicable across a wider set of users. Yeah. So now that we have a set of sort of annoyances that we would like to solve, and we have a refined problem statement as well. This is all the morning problem. Okay, this is what we did in the morning. We woke up tomorrow, Sunday, start tomorrow. Pick up a diary and start writing down all the issues that you face and go through the 5 whys analysis and come up with a refined problem statement. Okay. Once you've done this, then in the afternoon, we get into identifying unmet needs. Okay. So you step by step walk through on filling out the needs identification worksheet. This is the second worksheet that you should be filling up. Okay. To think broadly about different contexts and scenarios for your same problem. Okay, I'll show you just in a bit. This is what you can use. So the context is home and living, work or education, health and wellness, leisure and entertainment, travel and mobility. Scenario could be describe a moment at home. So if you're still struggling, right, with the annoyances, you can get into this table, which is think about home. Describe a moment at home or your hostel or your workplace where you encountered an inconvenience or something lacking. This is a scenario. Similarly, at work, describe a challenge or unmet need related to your work or education, or reflect on a health or wellness activity where you saw room for improvement. For example, you want to go for walking every day, but you just cannot go. Or you want to start doing strength training, you want to go to gym, but you're not able to do. Right? Think about all of those scenarios, like scenarios in which you are struggling. What is the unmet need? The key word here is unmet need. Which need is being unmet? Okay. So what you're trying to achieve, what task or goal was hindered, what was the goal of this activity, what we're trying to enjoy and accomplish. So try to notice these things. Okay. Then what are the shortcomings of the current solution? And then finally, potential solution ideas. And when it comes to potential solution ideas, notice something. You again can use the same annoyance diary example. The idea is, if you have annoyance, if you're somebody who has a lot of observation skills, you can observe a lot of situations, you can observe situations very well. By all means, use the first one. If you do not have that, then the second one is a slightly better, slightly more suitable for you, where you can think of different contexts like home and living. What struggles do I have at home? What struggles do I have at work? What struggles do I have at health for my health and wellness? What struggles do I have for my entertainment purposes, and so on? Just think about different contexts and then start filling this up. Okay, current solutions, shortcomings, and then you can come up with potential solution ideas. Notice something. Once you have this current solution shortcoming, this is essentially like annoyances, right? So from here, from this column onwards, you can again apply the same framework. You can apply the same framework to arrive at the potential solution ideas. I hope this is clear to you. Yeah. For instance, every morning I struggle to find a matching pair of socks. Right? By the way, the reason I've kept these examples simple is because I want all of you to be able to relate with it. These are actual issues and actual annoyances that you can solve for yourself. And that is, trust me, that is one of the best ways to begin. Do not try to solve for somebody else. Solve for yourself. Because you are the first user, you will be able to solve it for yourself really, really well. Okay. So every morning I struggle to find a matching pair of socks. This small task takes up an unnecessary amount of time. What is the unmet need? Quickly and easily finding a matching pair of socks. Okay, what is the current solution shortcomings? Sock drawers are often messy and socks can get lost or separated easily. So what if there was a dedicated sock organizer with compartments for each pair and a section for single socks awaiting their match? So we're not just solving for keeping the socks together, but also that there can be socks which are lost, right? There's only one pair left, one of the pair left, correct? So you can have a dedicated section just for that. So when you find the other pair, you can actually match and put them in the right section, right? Right. This, for example, during remote meetings, it is hard to gauge participant engagement or if explanations are clear, especially with larger groups. In that case, I'll just jump directly to potential solution ideas. You can, there can be a feature in video conferencing tools like the Zoom, for instance, that allows participants to anonymously indicate if they're following along or need further clarification. Right now, for example, I do not know if you want me to go faster or slower, for example, right? And so on and so forth. So this is a filled table to help you understand how you can go from a vague problem, a vague annoyance or a vague problem like this, unmet need like this, and how to arrive at a solution. Okay, but solution is not enough. Like we have come up with solutions, but that is not enough, right? So now that we have, notice what we have done. We have done activity 2 and we have done activity 1. Okay, both of these are morning routine. Now the second step is to brainstorm ideas. Okay, for brainstorming ideas, there are a variety of methods. I have listed down some of them. Okay, and I'll take you guys through a few of them. Right, the tool that I recommend is using Miro, M-I-R-O. It is free and you can use it. Where you can put your ideas in a nice whiteboard and you can put those, broad sticky notes or something. If you are more of a whiteboard person or a paper person, feel free to do so. Miro is something that I just recommend because it allows you an infinite canvas. Right. Then spend about an hour going through the brainstorming technique sheet, which is this, right? Start with a divergent thinking. I'll tell you what that is, and then convergent thinking. Okay. So using your annoyance diary and the needs worksheet, the two worksheets that we went through just above, you start with those two sheets and generate as many ideas as possible. That how will you solve the problem? You have figured out the direction. That okay, this is the actual problem statement, and this is the solution. Sorry, this is the actual problem statement, and this is the actual situation that I would like to solve for. But then actually start writing that what idea can be implemented to solve these problems. Yeah. So, for example, that hydration tracking thing we mentioned. What if there was a simple hydration tracking app? Great, fine. But how will it actually do it? What will the app look like? Will it be an app or will it be a notepad? Both of them can work, right? And then once you have come up with all of these ideas, which is a divergent thinking, you are basically thinking of all the potential ways that you can build the product, right? So that is called divergent thinking. And once you have come up with a bunch of ideas, that is when you can start converging, that you start grouping the related ideas. This is how the best of the best companies in the country or in the world apply their minds as well. You start grouping related ideas, you start identifying patterns, and then highlighting ideas that seem more feasible and impactful. Feasible in the sense you can actually build it. So if you're not a very big coder, for example, and you do not want to invest time on building an app for water tracking because you realize that water tracking is such a quick thing that you cannot like, the entire idea of opening a phone and then punching in data is not something that you will do. Okay, some people will do it, but you will not do. Then feel free to come up with a very neat, nifty notepad or some sort of a paper solution where the paper you're carrying and you can just simply uh, you know tear a section of the page of the paper showing how much of water you have drank drank. Yeah. um These are some of the most common brainstorming techniques. First is mind mapping. I'm sure you must have come across mind mapping. Mind mapping starts with a central idea, like I want to track my hydration, how much of water am I drinking in a day. I want to start with that. That's a central idea. And from there, you start relating the concept that, okay, how much of water should I drink? 4 liters. 4 liters, I can drink four 1 liter bottles. So I can track 1 liter bottles and not glass of water, because glass of water is just too many glasses of water to track. So I can track 1 liter water bottles. That is easier for me. That is a direction in which you can start thinking. Or you can think, no, I have access to glasses of water, so I'll rather track that, right? And then you create all of these relations. Okay. Another is called Scamper. My recommendation is, by the way, these are all very large ideas. Like, people take like 1 week sessions only for this, right? So these are very wide ideas. Do not worry about knowing each one of them. Just pick one that you immediately connect with and start using it. Okay, they are not rocket sciences. They are simple ideas, simple approaches. Scamper is substitute, combine, adapt, modify, put to another use, eliminate, and reverse. It's a short for that. It's a very, very popular technique, and it's very commonly used in professional, in business settings. It is used very commonly. For the regular settings, for personal usage, Scamper is not very common, right? This is another one which I personally like, rapid ideation, where your time
break
boxing.
time.
Rapid ideation is where you set a timer that, okay, 10 minutes is all I have, and I'm just going to write down as many ideas as possible. Okay. And that's it. Do not censor anything. Do not think too much. Just put your brain to the paper and just start writing. That's it. Okay. My recommendation is mind mapping and rapid ideation. These are two very, very good techniques. Just use them. Do not worry too much about others. Feel free to learn about the rest of them, but these two is what I'll recommend. Right. Let's say, for example, now I have gone through, let's say we are solving the problem of improving daily hydration. I would like to drink water every day, and I would like to consume enough water every day, right? That's the central idea. I'm applying the mind mapping technique to improving daily hydration. Okay. So what are the tools and gadgets available? I can buy a smart water bottle. Okay. I can take a hydration reminder app. I can download that. So this is the different branches that I can create in mind mapping. Habits and routines, I can drink a glass of water every hour. So every time the clock hits 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, I will drink a glass of water. That's one way. Or I can start and end the day with water. That's another way. But of course, I cannot drink 2 liters of water in the morning and 2 liters of water in the night. I cannot do that either, right? So I have to pace it out. These are all different habits and routines that I can set up, correct? And then I can also incentivize and reward. For example, I can gamify water intake. I can make it a competition that am I drinking enough water on time, or somebody else is doing. So you can have a nice little competition with your friends. That's another way, right? And you can then get rewards for meeting daily goals. And you can make a nice gamified app which allows people to simply gamify their water intake, nothing else. Just a fun little way of of ensuring that you're drinking enough water, right? This is a mind mapping technique. Then this is called Scamper. Scamper is substitute. So can you replace regular water bottles with a smart bottle that tracks intake? The bottle itself can track intake, for instance. You can combine, which is merge a water tracking app with a fitness tracker to consolidate health monitoring. You can adapt, look at how plants are watered on a schedule and adapt a similar mechanism for human use. You can modify and so on, right? If I apply a rapid ideation in 10 minutes, smart water bottles, hydration tracking app, necklace bead, okay, necklace bead that changes color based on hydration. A service delivering flavored water based on daily intake needs. A wearable that monitors hydration levels through the skin, right? Each one of these are at a different level of technology, at a different level of complexity, right? But in the rapid ideation, the idea is not to censor anything. Just pour your heart out, pour your brain out. Yeah. 635 brain writing is basically you go through 6 rounds of brain writing, where you go through the ideas that you have come up with the round 1, and then you zero down into each one of them. For example, smart water bottle, hydration reminder app, motivational water intake challenges. This is the round 1, the first idea that came to your mind. Round 2 is bottle glows when it's time to drink. It starts glowing. Or app rewards with health tips. Or challenges include social sharing features. Third is bottle syncs with phone to track intake and suggest optimal. This is the round 6 when you have like really gone deeper. You can see something as vague as smart water bottle has now become, by round 6, has become so much more specific. Bottle 6 with phone to track intake and suggest optimal hydration times, right? An app includes a virtual plant that grows with your water intake. There's another idea. Yeah. These are some other techniques when applied to the hydration app itself. Okay. And once you have gone through this mind mapping exercise as well, then the 4th activity comes in, which is defining or crafting a clear problem statement. A clear problem statement is somewhat like this. This is the template. Problem causes impact to users. Despite current solutions, key issue remains a challenge due to reason. A solution should address specific aspect without unwanted consequence. When applied to this hydration problem, notice urban residents struggle to stay hydrated throughout the day because existing solutions like mobile reminder apps fail to effectively engage users or integrate seamlessly into their busy lifestyles. A solution is needed that makes tracking hydration engaging and effortless, fitting naturally into daily routines without being obtrusive, right? This is a good problem statement. Why it is good? Because this clearly identifies the problem, its impact on users, in fact, the specific type of users also, urban residents, shortcomings of current solutions, and hints at what a solution should achieve. As compared to this, a bad problem statement is people don't drink enough water because they forget and there are no good apps. This is an observation. This is not a problem statement. The difference between a great product and a bad product is actually this. What problem did you start solving, right? This statement is extremely vague. It lacks specificity about the user and the impact and dismisses current solutions without analyzing their shortcomings, right? So good problem statement is this, and the framework or the template is this. You can note this down and you can use this for your situation. Yeah. From here, step 3 is setting up a smart objective. What is a smart objective? Smart objectives are specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Smart. Okay. For instance, for our hydration app, now I'm going to jump into the specific example itself so that you can learn it and you can accept it faster. So specific. So what is the objective for product development for our hydration app? Let's say we are going ahead with a hydration tracking app because that seems to be the most doable, most feasible product from this entire thing. Yeah. So specific use case, the specific thing is, okay, increase user engagement with our hydration tracking app by introducing gamification features. If I do not introduce engagement with my app, people will download the app but will never use it, right? So I need to first focus on increasing user engagement with our hydration tracking app, and for that I can introduce gamification features. Second, measurable. The goal should be measurable. So achieve a 20% increase in daily app open rates. Only if I figure out the right way of engaging my users, I will be able to get 20% increase in daily app open rates and a 30% increase in water intake entries by user within 3 months. Now, the outcome, or I will know that I'm doing a good job in my specific goal is by knowing whether is by being measurable about what that goal should do or should achieve, which is 20% increase in daily app open rates and 30% increase in water intake. By the way, just a quick note here. For those who are beginning their career, in fact, at any stage of your career, if you just do this step one, the day one and day two activity, and you note it, you create a good document out of it and add that in your resume, add that in your LinkedIn profile, believe me, this is sufficient for you to get into interviews. If you do this methodically, if you do it systematically, the way I've written it down, pick up any of the ideas, any of the known ideas, unknown ideas, and you actually build this out, these tables, these specific tables, write them down properly, and create a good document out of this. This alone should get you an interview. Cracking the interview is a different ball game, but getting an interview, this alone is sufficient, because the amount of thinking that is required for this is amazing. Yeah. Okay. Achievable. So research indicates that gamification can significantly boost engagement, it's a well-known factor. We have the development capabilities to implement these features on the given timeline. So if it's doable for you, if you're a coder developer, by all means, please do it. Next is relevant. This aligns with our problem statement of making hydration tracking engaging and effortless. So I wanted hydration tracking, and it is relevant for me, so I'm doing it. Yeah. If you have a larger user base, you can check whether what you're trying to solve or the product that you're trying to build now, is it relevant for the vast majority of the users that you're working with or not? And finally, time bound, which is complete the gamification feature rollout by the end of Q2, means by the second quarter, 6 months from now, with preliminary user feedback collected with 1 month post-launch for a quick iteration. So now with implementing SMART, you can create a objective worksheet template where specific is clearly state the objective and clear example and so on. So with this set, now you are locked in. Starting from something vague as a simple annoyance that I forget to drink water here every day. Starting from that to now you have such a clean, well-defined goal for your product development. You exactly know what you're building. How will you know if you have built it the right way? The measurable numbers, 20% increase and 30% increase in entries, right? You know that it is achievable, you know that it is relevant, etc. And you also know the time frame, right? Now, finally, you'll apply a lean canvas. Right now, just take a screenshot if you want, or just note it down. Lean canvas is where you start filling up all using the SMART objectives. You fill this up, and this will help you zero down into any further nuance or any further detail that you may have missed out on the earlier segments. Yeah, it helps to validate the problem and ensure that the solution is worth pursuing. Typically, what happens is a lot of ideas get the SMART objective worksheet. So let's say you have like 3 or 4, maybe 5 different ideas, and you will create the SMART objective worksheet for each one of them. But then you may not be able to pursue each one of them, right? Because you do not have that much of time or energy or the resources for it. So if you build the lean canvas, it helps you validate your initial idea. Yeah. So this is, it's fairly self-explanatory how you can do this, right? So I'll jump right into the lean canvas example for a hydration tracking app. Define the problem. People often forget to drink water throughout the day. Existing hydration apps are too complex. Solution is a mobile app that tracks daily water intake and reminds users to drink water through engaging gamified notifications. Hi, Sasinesh. Okay, I don't know what says. Sasinesh, can you hear me? No. Okay. Can we mute him? Folks, if you can mute yourselves, that'd be great. Or Gagan, if you can mute, please. Others. Thank you. Yeah, so a mobile app that tracks daily water intake and reminds users to drink water through engaging gamified notifications, that's the solution. Or the app integrates with wearable solutions, wearable devices to measure hydration levels. Now comes one of the most important things that you'll develop, which is UVP. What's your unique value proposition? Okay. Above, I have given very specific instructions on how you can write UVPs, right? Here, I'm implementing this for my hydration app, which is stay hydrated effortlessly. Our app makes tracking your daily water intake fun and engaging with personalized hydration goals and rewards that keep you motivated every sip of the way. Okay. So the unique proposition is that it is fun and engaging with personalized hydration goals. Yeah. Then who are these people who are we solving for? Health conscious individuals between the age group of 18 and 35 and busy professionals who typically end up forgetting. What are the key metrics? How do we know if you're doing the right thing? By measuring these numbers, right? So by filling this entire thing up, you will have a very clear set thing that you can pass to your team members, pass to your developers, pass to your business stakeholders, or pass to your friends who you are solving with to build something meaningful. Yeah. Finally, this is something that I'll strongly recommend that this is a book. I'll strongly recommend reading this book, Mom Test. It talks about how you can, now that you have lean canvas sorted, you have annoyances sorted, you have all of those worksheets sorted. Now you should go out and do a mom test. Give me a second, please. Yeah, thank you. So mom test. It's a book that I'll strongly recommend. Anyone who wants to build a product out, I strongly recommend please read this book, Mom Test. It talks about how you can survey the users, how you can, what kind of questions you should be asking, and so on. Okay. And how not to lead the users, because usually when we ask surveys, when we start asking questions that, hey, will you like a hydration tracking app? People will say, yeah, I mean, okay, fine. That's not a good way to ask a question, right? Because you are leading the person and the person is not invested enough to know whether to say yes or no. And the person is just going to, just to please you, the person will say, yeah, I mean, you're making it, for sure I'll use it, but they will never end up using it. Yeah. So this is where mom test comes in and it actually helps you figuring out whether you should be building something or not. Now realize what we have done. We have started from something as simple as annoyances, the daily annoyances. From there, we have come down, and all of this has happened only in the morning itself, right? Right from that stage, right down to we have a well-defined problem, which we can actually go out in the market and start testing with. Yeah. This alone, if you can really crack this alone can get you interviews. This alone is a big, this is like 40% of the entire product development process, because rest is much more tactical. This is the most complicated piece. Yeah. Once you've done this, then you can get into market sizing and trends. I'm sure you must have seen Shark Tank, and you must have seen market sizing as a big challenge or big question that people end up asking. Here are a few sites that you can use. Google Trends is a good one. Statista. I can never pronounce this properly. Statista, and IBS World. All the three are pretty good when it comes to doing finding some numbers about whether this is a large enough market or not. So whether should you be building this hydration tracking app or not? Is it a big market or not? And so on. Right. This is a table template that I suggest that you can use for tracking. You can notice I have used this to build a hydration tracking app market sizing example. So market size used this source, and I found that global health app market is valued at $50 billion. It shows that this product falls in the larger global health app market, and global health app market is fairly big. So even if this app takes like 5% of that, it's still a big enough market. What are the growth trends? There are clear growth trends, which I found from IBIS World, right? Positive growth trends, so there's a growing interest in health apps. Consumer trends, increasing searches for hydration and water intake. So you can use Google Trends for that. Competitor analysis. So I found from App Store reviews that top hydration apps lack engaging gamification features. You can go to App Store or Play Store and you can find out that if there are other hydration apps, what are the reviews saying? What are the issues that what are the issues that people are talking about in the reviews? What are the industry challenges? So user attention for health apps is a challenge with a drop off after 3 months. And opportunities. Many find existing hydration reminders annoying or easy to ignore. Correct? So by using this, now we have a much clearer idea of what our market size is, what our competitors are doing, what users of our competitors are struggling with, and what is the relevance to our product and what we can do about it. For example, creating non-intrusive engaging reminders could meet user needs better, because this is one of the issues that people have reported. Similarly, critical to design for long-term engagement attention from the outset, because people typically drop off after 3 months, right? Similarly, opportunity to differentiate by offering unique engaging feature personalized goals, because this is what competitor apps are struggling with. Yeah. Once you have done this, then you can create a competitor analysis table. I'll move fast here. So this is a typical SWOT analysis, SWOT, SWOT, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, and finding any kind of differentiator now that you have built your, right? So a competitor, let's say, is hydrate now. Another competitor is, let's say, aqua alert, and third is, let's say, drink right. 3 sample examples, right? What are their strengths? What are their weaknesses? What are their opportunities? So what are the opportunities that you get, and what are the threats that you have? Correct? So you can create a table like this, and this will help you in building and knowing exactly what you're getting into. So see, coming up with a great idea and coming up with a great solution is not enough, right? That shows that you are smart, you're creative, you're innovator. But for you to convert that effort into a real product, now you need to understand the business or the product landscape, and which is where this kind of competitive analysis is very, very helpful. And it's mandatory. You should do this. Without this, it's a waste of time, right? You can use Crunchbase, SimilarWeb, and the SWOT analysis template that I've made above to build this. Next step is user needs and pain points. This is where you can create a survey and interviews. You can use SurveyMonkey, Google Forms to survey the users. You can even do Zoom, which we are using for interviews. And you can also use a user interview discussion guide template. Okay. In this, I have shown some examples of what this survey is going to look like. So how do you currently keep track of your daily water intake and so on? Right. And finally, you will complete the solution fit and opportunities. Now that you have all of this data in place, all of this analysis, you have done the user survey, you've done competitive analysis, you have come up with your own ideas, you have created a lean canvas, you have the smart goals, you have all of this sorted. Now you can bring all of it together before you jump into actual prototyping and building on how to, so you can use gap analysis to identify current offerings, user needs, compare and identify gaps, and then start closing down that, okay, this is what I'm doing. Out of the many solutions that I can do, this is the specific thing that I'm going to work on. So you're going to fill up a user. This is the gap analysis template that I recommend. So this is a user need. This is a current solution. there's a gap, and there's an opportunity for new solution. Okay, so this is a summary of all the work that we did before this. Clear? Before I move to day 2 and the others, any questions, anything that you would like to share? Anyone? Any doubts, any questions, any thoughts? No? Okay. Should I proceed with the day 2 and others, or do you want to interact? Feel free to put it in the chat. Okay. Okay. I do not know if you would like me to continue with the day 2. So day 1 was all about collecting data, collecting various ideas and various directions and bringing it down, converging it to a single solution. And day 2 is about now locking in the value proposition using the value proposition canvas, and from there creating a MVP or defining the MVP. Do you want me to continue, or would you like me to stop? I've given you an overview of how 7 days should be broken down. And then there are a lot of templates, a lot of worksheets that you should be finishing one step at a time. Do you want me to jump into the details, or should I stop? Okay. There's one person who wants to jump into day 2. Anybody else? Okay. So day 2, now that we have the broad, clear ideas, now it's important to define value proposition. That why should somebody, even if you build the best product out there, why should somebody download it? Why should somebody continue to use it, right? And this is one of the biggest challenges that people face, by the way. People who are professionals, people who are building products out there, believe me when I say this, they struggle with defining MVP. MVPs are usually very bloated. MVPs take 3 months to build, and so on and so forth. Okay. So what is the objective here? The objective here is to use the value proposition canvas, which is a canvas that I've created, to fine-tune your product's USP, unique selling point, proposition, and identify the essential MVP features. So let's jump into it. So value proposition canvas consists of customer segment analysis, containing of customer jobs, which is what are the main tasks your target customers need to accomplish that your product can assist with. Think in terms of jobs, like why should somebody open an app? For example, when you use WhatsApp, what is a job that you want to fulfill? You want to communicate, you want to send a message to somebody. That's the job. WhatsApp happens to be just one of the many methods. You can call the person also, correct? You can send an SMS also. WhatsApp just happens to be the most efficient method of communicating with someone, right? Because if you call somebody, there's a good chance the person may not pick up and you are not able to communicate, right? If you send SMS, there's a good chance, given the kind of spam messages that we get, there's a good chance that the person may not even read it or may not have come across it. So WhatsApp happens to be one of the best methods for doing so. So customer jobs, start by identifying the main tasks your target customers need to accomplish. Think about the practical and emotional jobs they're trying to fulfill. The customer pains and the customer gains. Okay, that is a customer segment analysis. Then comes value proposition definition. So these are 2 different tables or 2 different columns. So column 1 is customer segment analysis. Column 2 is value proposition definition. In the second column, then you will write what are the pain relievers for each point identified. Brainstorm how your product could alleviate the pain, and gain creators. So pain relievers and gain creators. Okay. And finally, you will define the MVP features, which are high impact features. So list of pain relievers and gain creators and see which one has the highest potential impact. Of course, pick up something that is simple and viable. And finally, iterate and validate. Let's see how this gets applied for our example of hydration tracking app. This is the VPC or value proposition canvas for hydration tracking app. So customer jobs is I want to stay hydrated easily. Second is I want to monitor my health, and third is enjoy drinking water because it's a boring task, right? Drinking water is boring, right? So what is the pain for getting to drink water? Monitor health, hard to track water intake, and boredom with plain water. This is the pain. What are the gains? Achieving daily hydration goals. So stay hydrated easily. If this is the job, for this, what is the gain? Achieving daily hydration goals. Monitoring health, improving overall wellness. That is the gain. That is what I want to achieve by doing this, right? And enjoying the drinking water because fun hydration experience. How many of you can really build a habit on something that is boring? Not any one of you, right? I cannot. It has to be fun, correct? So what are the products and services possible? We can build a hydration tracking app. We can integrate with health apps, and we can recommend some flavors. Flavored water is a thing, by the way, right? So what are the pain relievers? Reminders and tracking. What are the gain creators? Gamification and rewards. So what are the features that can help you relieve the pain? And what are the features that can provide gain? Pain relievers, gain creators. This is a clear framework to help you zero down on what you're building and why you're building it for, why you're building it. Similarly, pain reliever here is hard to track. So you notice here, pain was hard to track water intake. Pain reliever is syncs with fitness trackers. Okay. Pain was boredom with plain water, suggest recipes based on preferences. What is the gain here? Improve overall fitness. The gain creator is provides health insights. What is the gain here? Achieving daily hydration goals. Okay, if there's goals, let's introduce gamification and rewards. So pains on one side, pain relievers on the other side. Gains on one side, gain creators on the other side. This is the value proposition canvas. And now you have a much well-defined, you have a very well-defined approach towards jobs against the task that you should be solving for, whether you're solving it for pain reliever or gain creator. You can do both if you have the resources. Okay. Now using this VPC, let's define the MVP features. For those who are in the job, they would know that defining this MVP features is a nightmare. And I hope by now you can see, if you follow this process step by step, actually it becomes a very, very easy activity from here, right? So pain reliever is a feature that sends customizable, context-aware reminders to drink water, addressing the forgetfulness issue, because that's the fundamental issue. If you don't solve for this, people are not going to come back to our app. So no matter what you do beyond this, people are not going to use it, correct? So we need to first build a beautiful reminder, a very interactive, fun way of reminding people that, hey, pani pi lo, drink the water, right? Addressing the forgetfulness issue. And once that is done, then the gain creator will be a tracking feature that visually represents their daily water intake progress and rewards them for meeting goals, enhancing their motivation and satisfaction. So for the MVP means minimum viable product, right? What is the smallest version of this product that we can build to validate whether this is really going to be effective for the people that we're solving for, right? So we identified using the value proposition canvas Upper, we identified that the target customers, which is busy professionals, they need a simple yet effective way to stay hydrated, which is customer job. They forget to drink water, which is the pain, and want to improve their daily water intake habits, which is the gain. So knowing this very well using the VPC, now we have a clear pain reliever, we have a clear gain creator, right? And for the MVP of the hydration tracking app, you can prioritize developing these two features. Rest everything can wait. Let's just build itna, just build this two features. Rest everything and wait. Once this is sorted, then we can figure out the rest. Yeah. This is your day 2 morning. It will take about 1 hour, 1.5 hours to finish this entire thing if you've done the previous day job properly. Yeah. And once this is done, then comes going deep into. So now we have cracked that, okay, for a busy professionals, this seems to be the right product to build. Just enough to know whether people are going to like it, whether it's going to work or not, without investing too much of a time. Now that we are sorted with the product definition, we will jump into defining the user persona, which is who are these users? I know busy professionals, but let's go into the nitty-gritty of who these users really are, right? So creating user personas with Extensive. Extensive is a good app. You can use that, but you don't have to. So these products are recommendations. You can use Miro also for creating user personas, but Extensive is specifically designed for user personas. So what are user personas? User personas are representative of a larger set of users. So for example, when I say busy professional, I am in my mind, I'm thinking of Amir Khan of Gajni, for example, very busy person, right? You might be thinking of somebody else. So there's a representative person, or maybe your boss or somebody else that you're thinking of, that, okay, this guy is very busy, right? And he or she must be missing out on water, drinking water, correct? But the problem here is that in a team, all of us will have different versions of this busy professional, correct? That leads to challenges in defining the problem, and we might end up solving the problem very, very differently. So solving for a busy professional who sits in office, sits in a AC office, a clear desk, like a well-defined desk, well-defined cabin with, let's say, a bunch of people to support him, to provide water and so on. It's a different problem to solve. The reminders, for example, if I'm a boss of a, let's say, 100 people, 200 people, 500 people company, then the reminders can go to my secretary, not me. The secretary will come back and give me water, right? Then that can happen, correct? Versus, let's say, this hydration thing can be an important thing for, let's say, doctors or patients as well, in which case the caretaker can get the reminder. Or the third, the person might be in a factory setup, in a difficult setup where they have to walk around a lot. In that case, the reminder should come to the person himself or herself, but the water should be available nearby. You see how the definition of busy professional changes the way that you are going to solve the same problem, right? Which is why user persona becomes important. That can you create a persona which clearly identifies who this person is and what is the group of users that you're solving it for. Yeah, let's jump into it. So you first of all, you'd gather the user research data. So if you have done your mom test, if you've done those user feedback and surveys, etc., you would have got some users. It's okay if you got 10 users. It's okay if you got like 15 users, 20 users. Absolutely okay. It's enough. Use that to identify the distinct user types. That, okay, these people sit in an office. These people are in a factory setup. These people are in so and so. From these distinct user types, identify the user type that is more likely to benefit from the MVP that you're solving for. See, in your vision, you might be launching a whole, category of, smart water bottles to wearables to pata nahi kya kya. You will be launching everything in your vision in about like 2 years, 3 years, 5 years time. Fine. But today, all you have is an MVP. So who is this MVP for? So perhaps, in my opinion, it is meant for busy professionals who are not yet boss level, but they are busy in general. And it is meant for them. They often go to the gym, they often go to, or they want to be fit. They have some health issues, which also requires them to drink enough water frequently, and so on. So that becomes a very specific, distinct type. So I'm not solving for everyone. I'm solving for just this type of person. Yeah. So use Extensio to create personas. You can go to the website and you can pick up a user persona template and you can start filling it up, right? Then you can create a customer journey map. You can use Miro or Lucid Chart to create this journey map. So this journey map, right, it allows you to exactly know where your user is, what the user is doing at each of these touch points, and how this user is going to consume or interact with your product. So if you know this, you will be able to fit or fix any issues that you might encounter or my users are going to encounter. Yeah. By the way, this is a Figma is a tool which is used for designing. You can use Figma also for all of these activities, by the way. It has a very nice plugin by a dear friend of mine, Indian Personas. And for Indian situations, for Indian personas, you can use this plugin. This is a link. You can use this to create, use ready-made Indian personas to interact with. Yeah. This is day 2. So by now, you started from a very vague annoyance of drinking water, right down to now you have user persona sorted, you have VPC sorted, you have MVP sorted, you have all of this sorted. And now you're getting into actual development. You're actually coding or setting things up. Unfortunately, I'm running out of time now, so I cannot go deep into that. But I hope what I've covered so far is good and sufficient for you. Day 3 should be spent. I'll just give you a quick rundown of what needs to be done. On day 3, you should be doing business model canvas so that you exactly know whether this is, you can use something called strategizer or canvanizer to create a business model canvas, value proposition, customer segment. This is basically, now that you have all the data possible, you're now putting it together into a single business model. Okay. For those who are experienced enough, they might skip this. They will perhaps go directly to the technical feasibility and jump the business model canvas, which is fair enough. But if you're new, do not jump it, write it down. It's an extension of lean canvas that we built earlier. And then you can go into technical feasibility and prototyping, right? So doing technical feasibility is critical because you do not know which product and which prototyping approach is going to work for your product, because you're doing an MVP and you just want to spend 2 days on it. So the idea is, it's not that, so you can take 2 weeks, you can take 2 months to build something. Nobody's stopping you, but you should not. Okay. You should be spending just 2 days, time block your efforts that, okay, in 2 days, I'm going to do my prototyping. And which is why if you spend day 3 on just doing technical feasibility, which is checking, oh, I have Bubble, I have Adalo, I have any other product or any other app building software, no code software that is available. I have all of them and I can use any one of them. But before you deep dive into any one of them, you should do a quick test. Okay, half an hour with this product, half an hour with this app, half an hour with this app, and see which one you are liking. Of course, if you build few products, you would have built some comfort with these different tools. But you should dedicatedly spend 1 hour, 2 hours on just technical feasibility and prototyping. That, okay, this is how my app is going to look like, and I'm going to use one of these tools to build out the product. For an MVP, my recommendation is not to code from scratch, because that is too time intensive. Nowadays, a lot of no code and low code softwares are available. You can use them. Okay. Day 4 is about using those prototypes to get some quick user feedback. You see how I'm advocating something different. I'm not saying directly jump into development. I'm still saying, oh, despite doing all of this work, no, I mean, it's just 2 days and about 4 to 5 hours of work each day. About 8-10 hours of work. Despite doing all of this work on day 1 and day 2, I'm still saying spend some time on day 3 to plan and pre-develop some prototypes. Just because you did all of this work doesn't mean that everything is all good, right? You will launch it and people will love you. No, that doesn't happen. It doesn't happen for Microsoft. It doesn't happen for Apple. It doesn't happen for Google. So if they don't succeed, so right, it's and same goes for movies, right? So much of money goes into movies and yet they fail, right? So just because you did the hard work doesn't mean that you will succeed. Okay, so which is why do not skip. Day 3, spend time on planning and pre-development. Do that prototyping, do the technical feasibility, do that job. Day 4, then you do prototype, like get the prototype. Prototype could be as simple as just screens, which you are just showing to people that, hey, this is how it's going to work. Do you think you are going to like it? Do you think there are any issues or etc.? Use that to get quick feedback cycles. Once you have received this, day 3 and day 4. So day 1, day 2, you were thinking by yourself. Day 3 and day 4, you're spending time working with users, the users that you surveyed earlier, to get feedback on your prototypes. And then day 5 should be purely about development. It should take about a couple of days. So including the day 3, day 4, day 5, you should be spending about 10 hours, 15 hours to build this product out. Day 6 and 7 should be about development and testing, you can see, and then day 7 should be about soft launch. But after that, do remember to spend at least 1 week after that to iterate and feedback. So you can again use Typeform, Google Forms, or Tally.so for collecting detailed user feedback. Okay, and then iterate. Do not just launch a product and say, okay, tata, bye bye, I'm never going to come back, but rather, right, rather invest time in getting some feedback from the users. Correct. I have also created some examples on the hydration tracking app that I have defined. And finally, of course, celebrate your sprint success, right? It's a very brain intensive work of doing this kind of an activity. It's a very, very intensive work. It takes a lot of effort, a lot of energy, and not a lot of people around you might be appreciative of your work. They may not understand what you're doing and why you're doing it, but you're doing it for yourself, right? So it's okay by the end of it, whether you failed, your product was liked by the user or not liked by the user, doesn't matter. You finished something, you started something and you finished it, you launched it. It will show up in your portfolio, it'll show up in your resume, and you will gain some practical experience which no other program, no other course, nothing else can support you, nothing else can give you. Yeah, so celebrate. If product was loved by everyone, celebrate. Product was not loved by everyone, celebrate. Reason being, you did this exercise because you wanted to validate the success. The success is not about people loving it. That was amazing. That is a good to have. The success here is you validated something that started from a vague idea. You validate something. So validation is also success, and invalidation is also success. I hope you're able to see my point. Yeah. Sorry. It's just 1.5 hours and there's so much to cover, and this is like an onion. There's so much to peel, so many layers to peel, but I hope you found value in what I discussed in about 1.5 hours. This document is in the process of finalization and putting it together so that all of you can consume it at your own pace. I hope. I would love to hear from you guys, and if you guys can switch on your cameras, and if you have any questions, feel free. Anjali, Siddharth, Indu, Adit, Vijay, Mohit. Any questions? Sonak? Sorry, Sonakshi. I'm sorry. Any questions, any doubts, any insights that you have from your own experience?
Hello, sir. Siddharth here. Am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible. It's a little disturbed, but I can hear you.
Is it better now? Hello.
Yes, please go on.
Yeah. So first of all, thank you so much for such a detailed session. I must say I've thoroughly enjoyed it. Fortunately, and coincidentally, we are working on something very similar at the moment. So we have entrepreneurship and business class, which is going on, and we have to do something very similar. Currently, working on a concept, and midway we realized that it's something which is, so it's just a problem that we've come across, that it's something which is very research and scientific oriented, plus involves a lot of capital. So
Okay.
now in such situations wherein you feel, okay, this is something like this has become a hurdle. How do you proceed across? Like, do you just drop the idea, or do you continue further on the concept? Like, when is the time for you to maybe stop pursuing the idea or a business concept like this in
So I
this
think
process?
Usually, there are certain cases where you just cannot. So there are three pillars here. Okay, defensible. So every idea you should evaluate on three pillars: defensibility, viability, and feasibility. DVF. Okay, I've spoken about DVF a lot in a session which is available on YouTube. So you can check there. I think it's called Advanced Masterclass or something. And I think it's the session one. But in a nutshell, defensibility is how unique your product is, and it is uniquely suitable for for your audience or not. It doesn't have to be the path breaker. It doesn't have to be like super new or something. The idea is it well aligned with your users or not, which is what the whole goal of today's session also was. Um, that is defensibility. Viability is it financially viable? Okay, can you afford to build it? Can you afford to make money off of it if money is a target for you? And F is feasibility. Are you technically equipped to build the product? Is it technically feasible? Is it financially viable? And it's business defensible, right? If you think of like that, DVF. So if in your case, if you can evaluate whether your product has defensibility, feasibility, but not viability, no. Okay, don't do it. If it is defensible also, it's viable also, but you just do not have the know-how, then maybe you can find somebody who can build it for you. If it is not defensible, it's viable and feasible, which means you have the money, you have the team, but it's not defensible enough. Now it's a question whether you believe that it's okay, it is not defensible and people can copy it. I'm okay with that, but the market is so big that I'll get my pie and I'll be happy with that.
Right.
Right. So that's basically how you can evaluate it. Now, coming to your specific question of I think I heard your idea requires a lot of capital.
Yeah.
Correct. So now, for example, in this hydration tracking app, the ideal solution to be very honest, is a smart water tracking bottle. So I remove the entire burden in the age of wearables, and the cost of sensors are declining so much in the US market. If I introduce a smart tracking water bottle, it should work, right? People carry water bottles and in a certain audience, there's a habit, like in US, if you read about, there's something called Stanley, Stanley. Stanley. It's a very popular brand now, and people carry their Stanley water bottle. It's almost like people say, "Hey, carry my Stanley." Like they do not say, "I'm carrying my water bottle," right?
Right.
So if you create something like a smart water bottle, that's great. But creating smart water bottles is expensive, right? It is expensive to first prototype and do all the grunt work, number one. And number two, uh, to go to China, get the product manufactured and shipping, it requires a significant upfront capital, which is not possible for a lot of people, right?
True.
So I mean, if you're Milton, if you're Cello, and you are part of their R&D team, you have the money, you can definitely try it out, correct? But if you're not that, and you're a single entrepreneur, that's just not viable for you. You just cannot do it, right? In that case, if there is a possibility of rethinking, was one of the goals for today's session also, that we came up with a lot of ideas in the beginning, as we didn't have that much of time, because of which I couldn't deep dive into each of these ideas. But we came up with multiple ideas. Smart water bottle was one of them. Hydration tracking app was another one of them, and so on. There were at least 3 or 4 different ideas. We picked up the app idea because that was the only one which was all three: defensible, viable, and feasible.
Yeah.
Without much upfront cost. Make sense? There was
Yes, sir.
I have one more idea, by the way. I'll just throw one more idea right away. So this smart water, so making smart water bottle might be expensive, and it is expensive. Plus, you have to also educate people, and you have to make them switch from their favorite water bottles to this new water bottle that you have made, and so on. Right? It is painful. It is hard. It is expensive in all ways. Correct? Another
True.
possibility is you make smart coasters. You know what is a coaster? That thin, circular, or like a piece of material that you typically place on the table, on which you typically keep your chai, coffee, or water or something, so that it doesn't spoil the table. That is a coaster.
Yeah.
Correct. What if you make a smart coaster? Then the switching cost is reduced. Like, people will not worry too much about buying. Plus, smart coasters, I believe, will be cheaper than buying the entire bottle or manufacturing the entire bottle. And you can actually create it like this: the coaster syncs up with your phone, and you can calibrate that. Okay, on this coaster I typically keep 1 liter water bottle or 2 liter water bottle. Nowadays, in the kitchen you have those weighing scales, right? Those cheap weighing scales which cost anywhere between 200-300 rupees. The same weighing scale, if we can miniaturize it and make this into a nice fashionable coaster, then that's another way of tracking hydration. Correct?
So it's maybe the first process is gathering data evidence, whether you can proceed with the idea or not. And second, maybe if it's not feasible at the moment, fine tuning it or fine tweaking it so as to
Correct.
continue with the product. Right.
Correct. Absolutely. Correct. Yeah. Thanks for asking that,
It's
Siddharth.
helpful. Thank you, sir.
Anyone else? Anyone else who has an idea but hasn't yet started, or they started but they struggle with moving forward? So, Nakshi, I would love to hear from you. Or okay, Anjali.
Yeah, so I am actually working as a analyst in a healthcare company. So
Okay.
now we have a goal of giving like AI use cases for a like Power BI dashboards and all. So
Hmm.
how to start with this? So so we have patient data, like we have different areas like population health. That is like the major part. Like there are measures like if there's a person like who has this cancer screening or like all sorts of immunizations and all. So
Yeah.
what should be the thinking? Like AI, like it's like yeah, it's a buzzword, but for a proper use case, what steps should I follow?
Bang on. So you're absolutely right. AI is a buzzword. IoT was a buzzword some time back, right? Um, See, you cannot force AI into everything and anything, number one. Number two, it will be used only if people have a pain related to that. So if you go through the step by step, so for example, you have a current Power BI dashboard.
Yeah.
Okay. So some people in your company asked you that, hey, figure out how to use AI.
Mhm.
Correct? Now, if you go through the steps that I described today morning, right from the
Mhm.
beginning,
Yeah.
notice the annoyance. What is the annoyance in using the current Power BI? Don't think about AI. Don't think about, oh, I have to force fit AI here. Don't think about that.
Mhm.
Start by noticing what is the annoyance that they are facing and you are facing when you're using Power BI. Because Power BI is not going anywhere.
Mhm.
Correct? Power BI is going to stay the same way. But what are the annoyances? For example, one annoyance could be finding the right report that you want to refer to. That could be a problem. Is that an annoyance?
Yeah. Like there would be a lot of tabs on a
Correct.
dashboard, and the people will not understand. Like they want this kind of insight. So where
Correct.
to go?
So one is when you wake up and you, sorry, not wake up, but when you get to the office and you open up Power BI, the first problem will be which tab to look into. Or I have this problem that, hey, where are my users going? Or hey, what my users are doing. Now, which of these tabs is going to give me the right data? Is my understanding right?
Yeah.
Correct. So now this is an annoyance. Do not try to solve it right away, but remember that annoyance diary in the beginning?
Yeah.
Start writing those annoyances first.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, if you go through these step by step, you will be able to solve it. I'll just give you a quick answer to that. I'll just short circuit this entire thing. So for instance, if the first issue, if the biggest annoyance is that I end up spending about 30 minutes in the morning just going through the various tables, going through various tabs to find the most relevant data for me. That's an annoyance for me, and that's a time wastage. Is my understanding right, Anjali?
Yeah.
Okay. So one solution could be you can make one dashboard, separate dashboard, which is a dashboard of dashboards, one single screen where you can do a search. This is my query. I'm trying to find answer to so and so, and it will give you, and I'll get the search result as, okay, this data or this information is best available in this tab, and you should be looking at this metric and these measures.
Mm-hmm.
This can be done very easily. Okay, not very easy, but it can be done in a week using any of the LLMs. Provided what you will have to do is you have to document each one of these tables, that this table is talking about this. In any case, Power BI, so it is programmatic, right? So there's a lot of there's code behind it, right?
Yeah.
So what you can do is, if your company allows it, pick up the code of each one of these tabs, pick each one of them, dump it into one of the LLMs that your company allows, train that LLM that this is, this tab has this information, this tab has this information, this tab has this information. You'll have to create a simple RAG pipeline and then create a search on top of this. This is something that you can do in about a week time if you are somewhat comfortable with the RAG and LLMs. If not, it'll take about a month. But this is you solving one annoyance, assuming this is an annoyance that your managers and your people want to solve. Clear?
Got it.
So the approach is the same. The approach that I described in the from the beginning. Write down the annoyances, write down the issues, then create the problem statement and go through that process. You will arrive at a good answer, a good prototype.
Got it. Thanks a lot.
Anyone else?
Hi, Talvinder. So one follow-up question on kind of, similar thing which Anjali was asking. So see, as you said, the approach will be mostly same for any kind of product issue we are solving for. But the first assumption we are taking in all these cases is these are technology related and we are solving for either an app or something like that, right? But in physical tangible products also which are being used in market, there also we have issues and people solve for those product issues as well. So I'm just trying to understand that how will we tweak this approach to fit in those cases? If I may take an example, because I think the moment you mentioned that coaster thing, it reminded me of one thing that so there is a sprinkler you might have seen for which Malis generally used to shower on the and it's big in size. Not everyone buys this, right? So recently I saw a small kind of, you can say, attachment which can be put on a water bottle at the top of it, and then if you just hold your water bottle upside down, the water will come outside in a sprinkler form. So anyone who don't want to buy the big size just for the sprinkler, they can use this, and especially if they have less number of plants and everything. So this was a kind of like similar example of, as you mentioned, for poster. So if I kind of want to backtrack it, that someone who would have suggested this, how they would have thought about it, and what tweaks they would have done if they would have used the same approach which we used, like SurveyMonkey, etc. Because these are the folks, they are not filling in surveys, they are not tech savvy even to fill a survey, right? So how can we tweak this for a normal audience?
Correct. So great question. So I think all of these approaches that I've described, they're applicable for both pure digital products as well as physical products. These are not uniquely predisposed for digital products. I think the only area where, or the only piece, which is day 5, day 6, when you have to prototype. So physical products can be prototyped also. And in fact, a lot of people do prototype first. The first phones, the first, like this device, for example, I may not get a very professional look, but I can just pick some caps, pre-made caps, and I can poke holes in them, refine it, and then go in my society, talking to them that, hey, you have a lot of plants. Do you struggle with getting a very nice sprinkler, or the sprinkler tends to be very heavy and you are a 50-year-old, 60-year-old person, so you cannot carry it around, for instance. Or, for example, especially in urban cities or urban metros, for example, we do not have much spaces, right? So we typically hang the plants from the ceiling, correct? So in that case, again, if you're a 50-year-old person, getting on a stool with a big sprinkler of 5 liters, and then it's a scary, risky thingy. But if it's a 1 liter bottle with a interesting cap on top of it, then you can very easily put the water, correct? So what you can do is you can do the same exercise. Step 1, step 2, step 3, सब कुछ same. There's no difference. Prototyping will change from, instead of using, let's say, a bubble or something, you will end up actually physically prototyping. Some of the prototyping may require you longer time. So, which is why physical products are a little harder than digital products, that it takes a little longer time to actually prototype physical products. Right? But rest of the process is exactly the same. In fact, the Scamper approach, the Scamper brainstorming approach that I mentioned earlier, Scamper was designed for physical products. It has been adopted for digital products. Most of the, please understand, all of you, please understand, digital products are using adopted techniques of physical world, because digital products are just recent, 20 years, they're like nothing in the larger scheme of things, right? Just been 20 years, and usme se bhi last 5-10 years is somewhat like magical work is happening, and like incredibly fast evolution is happening. Product management itself is a borrowed idea from brand management, which has been existing since 1930s, for instance, right? So, Nakshi, so the prototype is the only phase where you will have to adopt to physical practices. Rest, everything is exactly going to remain the same. People are people, right? And as regard to your question about if people are not tech savvy, how do you do user research? Perfectly okay. People are, even non-tech savvy people in India are using WhatsApp. Send a poll on WhatsApp.
Yeah.
Simple. Send a poll on WhatsApp. Or if it's a problem like yours, we all live in societies. So societies, or the people around, right? You can go out and you can talk to a bunch of people. Nahi mil rahe people, you're not able to find people. No worries. There will be some nursery nearby. Go to the nursery. Wait for like 2-3 hours. You'll come across a lot of people who are coming in, and just talk to them.
Got it. Yeah,
It's better to do. It's better to waste or spend time doing these activities than wasting money and building a prototype that nobody's going to use.
Yeah.